Hello, everyone, and welcome to this WomenHeart live interview. I'm Celina Gorre, the CEO of WomenHeart, and WomenHeart is a national patient-centered organization that provides support, education, and advocacy to women living with or at risk of heart disease. I'm thrilled today that we have this conversation with Samantha Bohrt. Samantha is the WomenHeart Senior Manager of Programs and Hospital Partnerships. We're here to talk with you about what it means to be a WomenHeart champion, and importantly, what you can do to apply to become one. We're excited that our application period is open right now, and we will be accepting applications through the end of the month, so the end of June. Now, for those of you who are watching this live, please feel free to put your questions in the chat and we'll try and answer them as we go. WomenHeart Champions are truly the heart of our organization. It's no pun intended. They are the women across the country who are living with heart disease, who are also giving back to their communities. They are volunteers who run support groups, provide one-on-one peer support to women living with heart disease, and provide education to those women in their communities. WomenHeart has trained nearly 1,000 women over the years to become WomenHeart champions, and we can't wait to train the next class of 2022. Before we get started, I wanted to also introduce Samantha. Samantha joined WomenHeart in March of this year, and we are thrilled to have her on board. Sam, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about yourself and what motivates you to do this job.
Thank you, Celina. So as you mentioned, I joined the organization in March, so it's about to be 3 months of a lot of learning that's been done. But just to share a bit about myself, I am based out of Texas. I am a public health person, so my background is on public health, health promotion, community education, outreach engagement, all of those things. And most of my experience is working in the nonprofit sector. I'm very passionate about all of those things, which is one of the reasons why I love getting to work with volunteers and our WomenHeart champions, because they're the ones who are committing all this time to going out there in the community and making sure that women are feeling supported, they have the resources, they have the information. So it really has been an honor to get to know them and to have these conversations. So I also want to say that, part of what I've really enjoyed and what motivates me to do this is the fact that we as an organization are providing these services to women all across the country, whether they want to engage in person, virtually, whatever that might be. So I think that those things combined is what keeps me going and keeps me ready to do this work every day.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Sam. That's a really good segue for us to start talking about what it means to be a WomenHeart champion. I know you've spent the last few months getting to know several of our champions, and I'd love for you to share a little bit of what you've learned in terms of what draws women to apply to become a champion in the first place.
Yeah, in my conversations, I've come to realize that, of course, all of our WomenHeart champions have their own experiences, their own perspectives. So they all have their unique reasons for why they're here and what's motivating them to do this work. But if I had to break it down into the main reasons that I have seen, I would say that one of those is about the fact that we have WomenHeart champions who experience support through WomenHeart, and they're trying to give that back now. So whether that is they were part of a support network, right? They went to support groups, and that's how they found like that bond and that relationship and information and that support, really. So we have those women who are trying to give back, or alternatively, some of them found us through Sister Match. So Sister Match is a program where, women who have been recently diagnosed are able to match with a WomenHeart champion, and they start conversations and they find support that way. So I think we also have champions who, because they went through Sister Match, they found that support, they're wanting to give that back, and they feel like it's time for a leadership role for them to be the ones who are serving other women. So that's one aspect of it. the other aspect of it is that we have women heart champions who are very committed to making sure that other women don't feel lonely, they don't feel alone, and they have the information and resources. As you know, so many women are either women with heart disease are misdiagnosed, they have a delayed diagnosis. So that can be a time of uncertainty and a lot of loneliness. So a lot of our women heart champions are out there trying to make sure that doesn't happen to other women. Those are two of the big reasons, but ultimately all of our women heart champions, what they have in common is that they're trying to make a difference in women's lives. They're making sure that the women out there have information, they have the education resources, and that they truly feel supported, and that they're not just thriving, but they're actually surviving.
Yeah, that's amazing. And, I think you really got to the heart of it. At Women Heart, we talk a lot about thriving. I often use the term thrivership, which doesn't quite exist yet in the dictionary, but I'm angling for it to get there. And our champions every day show us how they are the ultimate example of thrivership. It doesn't mean that their heart disease is cured or that they don't have to adapt to a new normal in their lives, as their heart disease sort of dictates what is possible for them at any given moment. But they're still able to give back, which is incredible, and which is what we're here for as an organization. And they themselves, as champions, feel a sense of purpose, that as they help others, they in turn feel like what happened to them can be turned into a positive thing. So far, we've talked about what champions do and why they might be motivated to volunteer. But in order to become a champion, there's a process, and they need to attend the Science and Leadership Symposium. But to get there, there's a whole sort of application that I know, Sam, you and the team have been working on. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about what it would take for women to apply and then to attend the Science and Leadership Symposium.
Yeah. So our application is online. If someone is interested in applying, they can just go to our homepage. It's womenheart.org, and they'll find the link to the application on there. Now, our application has questions about, why they're interested in applying, what motivates them, their heart journey, all of those things. And once they apply, they might go through they'll go through an interview process. So they'll have an interview where it's just like an opportunity for us to get to know them and hear their story and hear more about what motivates them. And then after that, we'll have a selection process, and everyone who is accepted will be notified. That's what that process looks like in terms of applying for the program.
Great. And then I'd love for you to talk a little bit about what is covered in this actual training. It's we call it a symposium, and we call it Science and Leadership for a reason. They learn about heart disease, but they also are trained in the process to become leaders. So can you talk a little bit about more the ins and outs of what that training looks like?
Yes, of course. So I do want to highlight that, the symposium that we're hosting this year in October will be in person. I'll give you more details about that in just a second, but we will also have a virtual training in the spring. So we are encouraging folks to apply regardless of whether they're planning to attend in person or virtually. But to tell you a little bit more about the symposium this year, that'll be held October 7th through the 10th. That's a Friday through a Monday. And it's a 3-day intensive training where Women Heart champions, right, the future Women Heart champions, learn from the top experts in cardiology, specifically experts who focus on women with heart disease. So they learn from them, they learn all the basics, they are able to learn more about diagnostic tools, even whole devices, which is such an experience for them as women with heart disease, but also being able to serve others, right? As they're out there doing education or providing support, they're going to hear so many different stories about heart journeys from different people. So being familiar with all that is important. They also work on sharing their stories. Their heart story is what we call it. So being able to do that comfortably and using it to advocate for information resources, to connect with other women. That's a part of the training. We also focus on community education and what that looks like. So if you're intending to go out there back into your community and make sure that you're raising awareness and providing information and resources, how do you do that? We have a support network session as well, where they learn the basics of how to coordinate a support network. They are working with other champions who are experts at this, so that they can learn from them. And they also go through a mock support network so that they can practice and feel comfortable. Ultimately, all of this culminates in a graduation ceremony where we're celebrating our new incoming champions.
That's so exciting, but it sounds absolutely jam-packed. I know the first one that I attended back in 2019 was both overwhelming and inspiring. But what I also saw, in addition to all of the important things that you just mentioned, Sam, about what they're going to learn, is that the experience seems a lot deeper than that. I saw women connect with each other and really form a strong bond, really a sisterhood. In fact, many of our champions call each other their heart sisters. In fact, I know champions as well identify themselves by the class that they are a part of. In other words, the year that they attended the symposium. I think that's because this bond with one another is so strong. It's often the first time they've met anybody and any woman with heart disease, and they're also surrounded by so many who've had similar experiences to them. This means different things, I think, for different champions. For our younger champions, especially, it can be really eye-opening because it'll be the first time that they realize that, unfortunately, many other women their age have heart disease. For women who've been relying on friends and family for support, they are finally able to connect with other women who can talk for hours and hours and hours about the challenges that they're facing and the fears that they've had to confront. And for women who've had the experience of an uncommon diagnosis, they can have a listening ear with other women who've gone through the same issues. So, I find that part of it, even though, I think our training is world class, I think there's also this other set of experiences that really fill out what that 3-day event, 3-day weekend truly is all about.
Yes, Celina, you're absolutely right. I cannot wait to see it in person and to be there this year. I've heard that there's a lot of tears, emotions, there's deep relationships that are being formed there because people are connecting so deeply. Like you mentioned, so many of the champions I've talked to have the stories of, being diagnosed and having support from family members, but they just don't get it. So it's a little different when they're surrounded by women who do. Recently at our gala, we had a champion who told a story about how, being diagnosed with heart disease, she just didn't feel like herself. She didn't feel as strong, right? She saw her limitations. And she went to the symposium and got on the bus and saw these women. And she was like, this can't possibly be the right place because all the women look confident and strong. And that's what it's about. Being able to see yourself reflected there and forming those relationships. And, years later, many of those women are still her close friends.
Yeah. It is really, really remarkable. Now, I know that, Sam, we've talked already about the application process, but I think, and especially for those who are watching live, I'd love for you to repeat again what that process looks like. And again, if you are listening to us now, please feel free to put your questions, as Sam is talking, put your questions in the chat, and we'll go through and try to answer them since we've got a few more minutes here. So yeah, tell us, Sam, all about, again, the application process that I know has already begun.
Yes. So again, if someone's interested in going and attending the symposium virtually in the spring or in person later this October, I encourage them to apply. And what that looks like is you can go to our homepage, WomenHeart.org, and you'll have a link to the application on there. It'll ask for basic information, and then we'll ask you what motivates you to apply. Tell us about your heart journey, to tell us about your relationship to the community, what kind of involvement you have. And, we're also very curious about how applicants see themselves as Women Heart Champions. What roles are they taking? What are they doing in the community? The other aspect of the application is that we are asking for 2 personal references so that we can reach out to them and, just they'll fill out a quick reference form to complete the application. So once that happens and once the applications are in, we'll start scheduling interviews. The interviews will be conducted by a district leader, which are seasoned champions, and a staff member, and we'll have just about 45 minutes for a conversation where we get to know people, we get to know their story, their motivation, and then from there we'll make a selection, and everyone who is accepted to the symposium will be notified on a rolling basis through the summer.
Great. I think I hope we've answered a bunch of questions that folks might have. This is going to be posted, so that's going to be great, so that you can continue to come back to this if you need additional information. And I just want to thank everyone today for joining us. If you're thinking about how you can help other women along their heart journeys, this is the organization for you, and we look forward to hearing from you, to answering any of the questions you might have, but especially to receiving your applications. So thanks again.
Thank you.